Friends, I welcome you all to our today's session. The concept that we are going to discuss today is about the fixed exchange rate mechanism versus flexible exchange rate mechanism. So we already know what is foreign exchange, and we have some idea of that what kinds of rates are there in the market. Now, one concept maybe in the earlier stages we were discussing at that point of time. There are some exchange rates which are fixed with reference to a particular currency. We call it as it is pegged to a particular currency, and some there are many other currencies which keeps on floating in the market. So these are the concepts which are going to discuss today. Let me share the screen with you right now. You already know what is foreign exchange, is it not? It is the money which is paid in a currency other than your domestic currency. Okay, so foreign exchange is the money in one country for money or credit of goods or services for another country. And you know, when you talk about foreign exchange, normally two currencies are involved. When we say the value of dollar is this much, that we're talking about dollar in terms of rupee or rupee in terms of dollar. Okay, and foreign exchange actually that includes foreign currency, foreign checks, foreign drafts, all these things forms a part of foreign exchange. And you also know that there are two, broadly you can say there are two kinds of quotes. One is direct quote and indirect quote. Direct quote means home currency per unit of foreign currency, and indirect quote means foreign currency per unit of home currency. We have also seen that how rates are quoted in international market, like bid quote, ask quote, European terms, American terms, all these things. Now we have idea about all these things. And we have also understood the concept that the exchange forex market is a free market. Most of the currencies value is determined by the demand and supply forces, right? So just like in any market, suppose in vegetable market, the price of vegetable depends upon the demand and supply on a particular point of time. Same is also true in case of forex market. Okay, it depends how, if the demand is more, then the value of currency will definitely go up. If the demand is less, the value of currency will go down. Similarly, if supply is more, currency value is supposed to come down. If supply is less, currency value is supposed to go up. Okay, but when I say supply is more or less, we are talking in terms of or with reference to demand. Okay, when I'm talking demand is more, that means demand is more with reference to supply. Okay, like that we have to understand. And we have also understood the broad reasons of movements in foreign exchange or foreign exchange fluctuations. So we call it as the exchange rate drivers. So of course, primarily these are the two factors or two forces which are important: one is demand force and supply force. But there are many factors which contribute to these forces, like your position in international trade, speculations, balance of payment situation, intervention of central bank, then economic fundamentals, political stabilities of the countries, exchange rate parity theory, inflation rate, and self-fulfilling prophecy. Like this, these are some concepts we had discussed earlier. All these factors contributes towards creation of demand force and supply force, and which ultimately decides the exchange rate. Okay, so now normally you see exchange rate is that rate at which demand force and supply force meets at a particular point. Okay, you can look at this chart. Let us say I am talking about, let us say this demand goes off, supply remaining same. If demand instead of here is goes off, then naturally exchange rate will also go up. So this is the concept. These are the two forces. So today, let us say price is something. Let us say dollar is at 75. That means this is the equilibrium. This is the point at which the demand and supply forces reaches certain equilibrium point. Okay, this is how rates are decided. Exchange and rates are decided. Now we need to know what are the forces which contributes demand of foreign currency. So these are some forces, as you can see, they contribute demands of foreign currency. For example, let us say import of goods and services. If goods and services are imported, more and more goods and services are imported, then demand of foreign currency will go up. That means foreign currency value will go up, home currency value will go down. Similarly, investment in foreign currency. That means foreign direct investment outward, meaning money flowing out of the country. In that case also, it will create demand of foreign exchange. Then next reason is that payment by government, for example, payment of interest, payment of loan, etc. Then other type of outflow like foreign capital outflow or donation to foreign countries, or maybe your residents of the country sending money to some foreign places. So these are some instances which will give rise to demand of foreign exchange. Similarly, there are some regions which create supply of foreign exchange, or you can say you can create a force of supply of foreign exchange. For example, export. If export is more, then foreign currency, it will create a supply. Okay, meaning the if when supply is more, then what happens? The value of foreign currency goes down. Value of domestic currency goes up. Inflow of foreign capital. If foreign capital is coming into the country, then also domestic currency value will go up, foreign currency value will go down. Payments made by foreign governments. If foreign governments pay to Indian government, then also this will create a supply of foreign exchange. Consequently, the value of Indian rupee will go up, foreign currency value will go down. And other type of inflows, for example, like capital inflow, remittances by non-resident Indians, donations received, all these things create supply forces in foreign exchange market. Okay. Now you see different countries follow different type of exchange rate regimes, or you can say they manage their exchange rate in different style. If you look at history, there are some old styles. You see, first is how exchange rates are decided. Commodity specie standards were there, gold standards were there, Bretton Woods system of exchange rates are there. But all these three things which you're talking about, they're historical in nature, not of any importance right now. Post 1973, these are the exchange rates, these are exchange rate mechanisms or exchange rate regimes which are followed by various countries. As you can see, read the first one. This is floating rate system. Second one is pegging of currency, meaning fixing a currency with reference to some other currency. Pegging means measuring one currency with reference to some other currency. Then crawling peg, that means pegging you are measuring, but we are somehow managing the peg also. Then target zone arrangement, fixing your currency value with reference to a target zone. So these are the actual methods of foreign exchange regimes which are nowadays followed upon. But we'll quickly cover this history first. Commodity specie standard. What is this commodity specie standard? Gold standard and Bretton Woods system will be understanding very quickly. When coming to this commodity specie standard, what happens? The value of the currency is determined with reference to the value of metal contained in that coin between two countries. Suppose we want to decide what is the exchange rate between the currency X and currency Y. We have to see what is the metal content in both of them and what is the value of that metal in respective countries. On that basis, we'll decide what is the exchange. This is a very old system, and this was operational when there was no paper money. But with the invention of paper money, naturally you must have understood that system failed. Okay, paper money means the intrinsic value of that paper is almost nothing, but it carries some value. So commodity specie standard failed with the introduction of paper money. Next standard is about gold standard. Here what happens, currencies are evaluated with reference to gold. Okay, this standard was prevalent between 1870 and 1917. And in those times, gold rate was more or less stable. So currency was measured with reference to gold. Suppose Indian currency, how much gold you can buy for this currency and how much gold you can buy in some other currency. On that basis, you will decide what is the exchange rate. But during World War time, what happens? Gold price become highly unstable. Well, that is one thing. And there is always a limited supply of gold. In those days, countries were maintaining gold reserve, and it was difficult to maintain gold reserve. So this system also failed. Many countries at that time had adopted, and the central bank of those countries were keeping an official reserve. But this system failed during World War time, you can say. Okay. Now, after that, several countries came together to a conference that is called as the Bretton Woods Conference in the year 1944, right? And they adopted a system. And in the year 1945, International Monetary Fund was evolved. They devised a new exchange rate mechanism. They called it the Bretton Woods system. In that, according to that system, what happens? Fixed parity system with adjustable pegs. That means currency rate was fixed with reference to US dollar or gold with some adjustability. That means adjustment to the extent of plus or minus 1% was allowed. So like this, initially we have to fix the currency rate, then we have to adjust it. But that system also failed after some time. Okay. Then finally what happens? One committee which is appointed by International Monetary Fund suggested 4 options of exchange rate. So accordingly, there was an amendment in International Monetary Fund's article, and these are the 4 options which are recommended. You can have a look at this. One is, you see, floating rate system. Second one is pegging of currency, means fixed exchange rate mechanism. Third one, crawling peg. Fourth one is target zone arrangement. These are the 4 types of regimes which are followed. One by one, we'll see. First, we'll see what is floating rate. What is floating rate? As you know, as we are discussing, that means the currency will freely float in the forex market. Meaning, only demand and supply forces will decide what should be the equilibrium value and what should be the price of that currency. That means value of the currency or price of the currency is totally determined by market forces only. That is called as a floating rate system. Next system is pegging of currency or fixed exchange rate system. Many developing countries follow this system. What they do, they peg their currency or measure their currency with some strong currencies. Okay. And or maybe they peg their currency with a country's currency with whom they are having a voluminous trade. It depends upon which country they are trading more. So they peg their currency with reference to that country's currency, so that at least in trading activities there will be some stability. Okay. And the pegging system, what it exactly provides is it provides for fixing exchange rate between 2 countries. However, the exchange rate float with some other country. Suppose you can fix the exchange rate of this currency with reference to dollar. So with reference to dollar, it will be fixed. But with some other countries, it will keep. With some other countries' currency, it will keep on changing. So many countries do like this. Okay, suppose let us say dinar is fixed with reference to dollar, but with reference to Indian rupee, it will keep on changing. Okay, because dollar versus Indian rupee keeps on changing. So with reference to a particular currency, it is fixed. That is the concept of pegging of currency. So here you see the list of countries which are now still following pegged system. Here they are pegged with US dollar. Okay. Okay. Source for this thing is World Bank. From the World Bank source, the data has been collected. That these are the countries who are using fixed exchange rate mechanism and their currencies are pegged to it to US dollar. You can have a look. Now, third exchange rate system is exchange. This is about crawling peg. It is, you can say, it's a hybrid of fixed rate as well as floating rate. Here, what happens? Exchange rate is kept stable, or exchange rate is pegged in short run, but gradually it gets revised. It keeps on changing gradually. Okay, for certain temporary time, it it is pegged and it remains fixed. So in that time, it brings a kind of stability. Later on, it keeps on changing. So it has advantages of both stability as well as flexibility. So many countries follow this system also called as crawling peg, or you can say managed peg. Then one more kind of exchange rate regime is there, that is called as a target zone arrangement. Here exchange rates are fixed with respect to currencies of the countries of a particular zone. And with respect to currencies of other zones or other countries, it keeps on floating. Okay. For example, Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, Central African Economic and Monetary Community, and Western African Economic and Monetary Union. So they fix their currency with respect to, you can say, a particular zone or with respect to a group of currencies. They fix with those currencies. So with reference to those currencies, their exchange rate is fixed. For all other currency, it keeps on changing. So even if friends, we have learned these four kind of exchange rate regimes. So broadly, you can say classify. They can be either fixed or they can be floating. Right? These are two possibilities. When you talk about fixed, that means you can call it also pegged exchange rate system. Okay, in this type of system, as you know, they're fixed means fixed with reference to a single currency, or it can be fixed with reference to a basket of other currencies. That possibility is also there, just like target zone arrangement we have understood. Okay, how it is possible? This system, fixed exchange rate system, mostly managed by the central bank of that country. Central bank ensures that currency rate is fixed. If people want to change their money to some other currency, central bank will make currencies available at that rate. That is called as fixed exchange rate system. Okay. There are some advantages of this system. First of all, it promotes international trade because in the market, people know rates are stable. The participants of the international trade, they feel comfortable. There is no currency risk. And this kind of system also felt necessary for small countries. So small countries, they feel it is at country, country of their size, they need to fix their currencies. They find the international trade gets disturbed if it fluctuates a lot. Okay, their foreign currency, their foreign trade gets affected. So in order to ensure economic growth in a controlled way, they feel it is necessary to fix the currency rate. It also promotes international investment. Investors also feel comfortable. They find that exchange rate will not change, it will remain same. It removes speculation. Foreign exchange market mostly, dominated by speculators. So speculators do not gain much in case this kind of when exchange rate is fixed. For developing countries also, it is felt necessary to fix the exchange rate. It is suitable for some specific areas, specific currency areas means where they follow one type of currency. If several countries are following one currency, it is better to follow a fixed rate of exchange mechanism. It brings internet in this thing, economic stabilization also. And again, one more thing, when you say fixed, that doesn't mean that it is permanently fixed. It can be changed in appropriate time. And there are many other arguments also which goes in favor of this fixed exchange rate mechanism. For example, it ensures orderly growth of world's money and capital market. It ensures smooth functioning of international monetary system, encourages bilateral, multilateral trade. Okay, it also helps in having good relation with different countries. Okay, so these are some advantages of fixed exchange rate system or pegged exchange rate system. But there are many disadvantages also. For example, it is an outdated system. It fails. Okay, it was successful maybe in 19th century, maybe in 20th century, but at that time situation was different. Coordination between countries were good. and let us say the economic development was mostly controlled by the country itself. It is economic development of the country was controlled or managed with the help of balance of payment. But now you see there is a lot of international influences. Those things were not there. Prices also, and those days it was more flexible. But all those conditions are existing as of are not existing as of now. So in the old days it was good, but right now it is very difficult to manage with a fixed exchange rate. It discourages foreign investments. It creates monetary dependence. Okay, deprived of its monetary independence, your value of currency is dependent upon some other country. And when the price value of money is dependent on some other country, there is no relationship between cost and price. Your cost of product might be more, but you might have to sell it at less price because of international currency rates. It's not a genuinely fixed system. On what basis you will fix? That is a challenge. So like this, there are many difficulties one faces. Just these, I'm listing out some examples of these difficulties. So that is why you can find this is outdated system and most of the countries are not following. It creates inflation also because this distorts the country's own economic plan. It have so many unwanted economic side effects because you are observing the entire foreign currency fluctuation loss in your own economy itself by ensuring that currency rate is stable. So it has side effects. It may bring high inflation. That possibilities are there. Now coming to floating rate exchange rate system, as you know, it is freely determined by the market forces. There are many advantages. That's why many countries adopt to this system. There is no need for international management of exchange rates. Automatically, it will be managed. No need for central bank's intervention. Bank will not intervene. Central bank, reserve bank will not intervene. No need to elaborate capital flow restrictions. Automatically, market will decide. If people want to invest in capital market, they will be investing. If they don't want, they will not be investing. There will not be monitoring. Okay. Greater insulation from other countries' economic problem. Now, what happens if you fix the currency? You are observing the exchange rate fluctuations in your economy. So, if you make it open, it's flexible, then other countries' economic problems will not be reflected in your currency rate. Okay, if other country has some economic problem, their currency will be devalued and your currency value will go up. Automatically, that will get adjusted. Okay, correction of balance of payment deficits. Now you'll know in the balance of payment account, you will know after the actual situation, what is the inflow and outflow. It will give you an idea how to get the BOP position corrected. Right. So you need not manage your forex reserve. Okay. So that will be again created. And there are some disadvantages also. This is what primary disadvantage is that exchange rate will become unstable. So people may lose confidence in the international trade and commerce. Okay. Uh, then again, you see, it has some impact on the economic structure in the sense the imported goods and exported goods, their pricing also may keep on changing frequently. There might be capital movements also that will be frequently fluctuate. Okay, it may have some depression effect. It may lead to problem of extremely liquidity, high liquidity. These situations may happen. So like this, these are some disadvantages out there. Here, when you are on the topic, there is one more concept which is called as the managed float or dynamic float. When I say float, float means currency will move freely. Prices will be determined by demand and supply forces. If that is so, purely by demand and supply forces, we can call it is a clean flow. That means country is not interfering. Automatically, it is decided. That is clean flow. But if the central bank or government intervenes, manages, sometimes that might be required to ensure that international trade and commerce is actually developing, or you can say actually, otherwise what will happen if there is a huge fluctuation because of demand and supply forces, people may lose confidence on international trade. They may not want to venture into international trade. But to ensure that those disturbances are not there in international trade, central government many times intervene to ensure that the exchange rates are managed. Okay, sometimes if intervenes, we call that is a dirty float or managed. Okay, managed floats means normally in some occasions central bank is intervening. But if intervention is too frequent, you can call it a dirty float. That means you are calling it as a float, but actually you are managing everything. Okay, so yeah, I think sharing got disturbed. Are you seeing the file or not? Yeah, I think you are seeing it. Oh, yeah. So this is about uh, two types of system, two types of exchange rate system. One is fixed exchange rate regime. Second is flexible exchange rate regime. And what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, we know. But as of you know, most of the countries follow floating rate system, and very limited countries they follow fixed exchange rate system. And fixed means fixed with reference to one currency or maybe a basket of currencies. But with reference to all other currency, they keeps on changing. That is the concept of these two systems. Friends, with this concept gets over. We'll close our session right now. We'll catch up with one more concept in our next class. If you have any query, you may feel free. Otherwise, thanks a lot. Thank you very, very much.